I wasn't even planning to make this episode today, but something happened yesterday that I really want to talk about because it, like, literally stopped me in my tracks. Um, and it wasn't like a graduation, a birthday. Um, Nobody won an award or anything, right? My son made eggs. like, but I know, because stay with me, because this episode is not about the eggs. Um, it's about the moment I realized, like, the verb realized, like, it became reality in my face. I realized you can intentionally design the emotional culture inside your home. Like, I know it sounds like, well, duh, right, to some people, but like, no, like, yesterday, it just hit me. Like, it was just, I couldn't escape it, right? So, anyway, like, I've spent years thinking that I was trying to raise good kids, right? I'm a millennial, and um, dude, I don't need to say more. I'm a millennial teen mom, and last night I realized that I've actually been building a family culture like this whole time, and like, excuse me, there's something fruit fly. My mind is so blown too, though, because like I still live in the home that I grew up in, and the culture that I grew up with, it's just vastly different, starkly different from what I created with my family. So it's so surreal. So, anyway, yesterday, I had worked all day pretty much. Not the whole day at the studio, but like, mothering is work. So, anyway, it was almost 10 o'clock at night, okay, and I was in my office. I was typing away, and my daughter comes in and she goes, "Hey," um, she goes, I want some eggs." I was like, "Girl, no." I was on my laptop trying to catch up on my most recent rebrand of 2.85 seconds, bro. And I was just like not in the mood. It was 10 o'clock, like kitchen is closed, right? So I told her, I was like, "Babe, I'm done cooking today. I really don't want to do it." Um, and I also told her, I was like, maybe if you ask nicely, if you ask your brother nicely, maybe he'll be generous enough to make you the eggs at 10 o'clock at night. And it's not because I didn't love her. It's I honored my own boundary in real time. Like, kitchen is closed and I'm tired. I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to do this. So, anyway, I think sometimes we believe that good parenting means saying yes all the time, and I don't think it does, right? I think also I think children also deserve to watch adults lovingly say, like, "No, I'm done for the day, let's do it tomorrow," or hand off to a different person, right? And that's emotional honesty. And it's not out of pocket. You're not being mean about it. You're not being rude, and you're not completely disregarding the child's need. So, anyway, I told her, you can ask your brother. And, like, without hesitating, though, she just turned around, y'all. She just turned around, walked over to her brother, and kindly asked her. I heard her. And, like, I, he was like, "How many?" He didn't flinch. Like, there was no funny tone in his voice, like, nothing. I was like, my mouth dropped. I the astrology girlies know what's going on in the cosmos right now, but I cried because like I just felt so relieved that it was unprompted. I didn't tell him to be nice, and I really thought he was gonna be like, "Fuck no," like I'm tired because it was 10 p.m. But like anyway, I think that this is what people miss. They hear that story and think like, "Wow, what a sweet kid," right? And I agree, but like I look back on how everything unfolded and I'm like, wow, like look at the culture behind the behavior, because children don't wake up one day just generous and flexible, right, and cooperative. Generosity gets practiced and contribution gets like normalized, right, and gratitude gets witnessed, and it's a normal thing in the household. And like I literally took mental notes so fast because as this was happening, it was just happening so fast in my emotional body. And we're in fucking Cancer season and the moon just got out of Capricorn. I think we just had a full moon in Capricorn. I was a crying mess, and in a good way, because I was just like, oh my gosh. It was just such a new experience for me, and I was aware enough and present enough, even though I was tired, to analyze the situation and like dissect it and just be so grateful for, again, like the culture that has been built through design, not just on accident, right? So I want to unpack like each little section real quick, okay? Because like first of all, she asked instead of demanded. And now if astrology is not your thing, like that's totally fine. It's mine, but like she has an Aries moon. She has an Aries moon and Jupiter just moved into Leo, and her Jupiter is in the 10th house, which tells me that she's expanding in like her personality and in her identity and who she is, and it puberty. Ah, but anyway, um we're used to feeling like a bit combative with her, and just it's in her nature to be silly in a kind of aggressive way, even when she's like trying to cuddle or something. She's just it can just be a bit much for my son and my personality tendencies, because he has an aqua moon, I have a Pisces moon, and it's just like she's so fiery. um anyway, she was chill about me saying no. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I was like, okay. Um and like the way she asked her brother, it was very specific, you know? She was like, after you're done eating, because he was fixing himself something to eat. We had just gotten home from the park. I picked him up from the park. Anyway, and she was just so specific about it. And she was like, after you're done eating, can you make me some eggs? I think she even said, I'll wait. I was like, bro. And then, okay, wait. He contributed, right? Instead of complained. Like, there was no groan, there was no sigh. Like, I know he didn't eye roll. He just asked, how many? And I, like, I don't know. Like, thinking back on my childhood, if I would have asked my brother to make me some eggs at 10 o'clock at night, I don't think I would have gotten that. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that is something really special that they are able to have between each other. The ability to make each other's life easier without you know, expressing an emotion that insinuates that they're a burden, right? So anyway, it just healed so many cells in me, right? And like even just living it right now again, it every time it just like it just changes my brain. It rewires my brain chemistry just a little bit. Um, it reinforces the evidence that like we're rebranding, you know. I'm so done. My Scorpio Mars, by the way, is just always like, what can we do better? What can we refine? Um, but like the point is that like nobody kept score and like nobody guilted anybody. Nobody was forced. She didn't yell. It was just chill all across. And um like yeah, I just there was so much that was avoided, right? Like in one single sentence, somebody can guilt trip you and like it's just it can get to be a lot, you know. They can like be like, oh well, I did this and this for you. Like none of that happened between them. And I almost felt like, oh my gosh, like whose house am I in? Like because again, props to my parents for the good they did, but the culture of their family that they made just does not compare to what I have created with mine. And it's just really the truth. Um, and like, it feels so eerie almost that it's happening in the same home, like it's parallel universes. So, like, again, it's just an interesting rewiring of my brain chemistry each time something like this happens. So, anyway, this exchange looked small, right? But like it wasn't. So another little piece that happened in the throughout the day before we got home is like so I was at work and I picked them up from the park, right? And so my son had walked his sister to the park and she took her bike. So he went walking and she rode her bike and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what? That's that's protective masculinity if I assess it, right? It's not control, it's presence. He didn't have to um he didn't have to take like he didn't have to oblige by taking the bike. It's just there's more to look out for and things like that. You know, he could have come up with a bunch of excuses, but he let her. He wanted to let her take her bike. And so anyway, I picked them up after work and honestly when I saw the bike again after I had already told my daughter I don't like bringing the freaking bike in my little Corolla. Like it's just so tiny and I just, you know, I watched them like walk over for a few seconds and honestly like I had a stink face and I checked myself. I was like, wait. I was like, no. The other day when when I showed up with a stink face about her bike, she like crashed out on me. She flipped out. She's like, "What? Just chill." I blah, blah. She was just like she got defensive, right? Because she read in my body language and in my energy that I was just it bugged me that she had brought her freaking bike again. So anyway, I just like fixed my face. I fixed my face and like that was it. Uh, they they loaded the bike. Nothing was like um, abrasive about it. Nobody was like nothing. They were actually like singing some tunes, I think. Um, and like anyway, we got home. It was like a quick ride home. And before we get out, my son just like really quickly he goes, "Thank you for the ride." Um, and like in the moment, I was tired and you know I just didn't really um I guess, really register what was happening. And so, again, if I assess it again in hindsight, um, what I see is him acknowledging an invisible labor, right, that I'm doing. And it's invisible because, like, yeah, it's my responsibility and things like, but it's still, they're just tasks that kind of go unseen, right? And it showed me that, like, how gratitude means someone notices the effort behind ordinary things, right? Like the things that we're supposed to be doing, quote unquote. Um, and then, but wait, hold on. So we get home, and then Penny asked me about the eggs, right? And then I was here sitting typing because I was like, oh my gosh, I was just dissecting everything that had happened. I was typing it out, and like, um, I was just kind of telling this exact story to myself, right? There were so there was like so much peace where there were so many opportunities for chaos, for one of us to be like snappy, right? But anyway, my daughter had walked over, and again, by this time my son had made her eggs, and like I was here typing away, but I see her coming through the door, and she's holding a bowl, and she's like chewing, so I kind of thought she was just gonna tell me something, so I was still typing because my thoughts were thoughting, and I was just in it, and um I'm like, she feeds me, and I was like, what? So I just start eating, right? And I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't ask. She wasn't like trying to impress me. Um, like she simply thought like mom should mom should eat too, right? I am out of tissues. Wait, hold a little paper towel. Oh my goodness. Anyway, and like that moment wrecked me. It fucking wrecked me because it's when I realized like it slapped me again in the face. Like as I was like analyzing it, children eventually become the culture that they grow up in, right? And for something so peaceful, so nurturing to be reflected back to me, I just cannot, you cannot put a price on that. So, like I mentioned before, right? Most people spend like years sometimes and so much money decorating their homes, right? Like the aesthetics and just getting it right, and going shopping for vintage pieces. But like very few people think about putting that same energy into designing the emotional culture inside those very same walls. And like, think about it. Like, what happens in your home when someone says no to a favor, right? Like, what happens when someone cries? What happens when someone forgets to do their task? What happens when someone apologizes? Do they, is their apology accepted? Who notices invisible labor, right? Who helps without being asked? Like these these things are what identify your family culture, right? It's what it is, not what we want it to be or what we even aim maybe for it to be. It is what it is. And like like as a kid, I didn't grow up thinking too much about culture. Okay, like I grew up surviving. Um, I inherited patterns. Pa- I inherited patterns that I didn't ask for. Um, but when I wasn't in survival mode, um, enough to like notice them, I questioned that shit. I did reflect. And maybe you did too, especially as a millennial. The internet. We are older than the internet. We're older than Google. Um, and like, especially if you were in the GATE program, who remembers that shit? Um, that is a whole other rabbit hole. But like, the point there came to, I came to a realization again that if culture can be inherited, right, it can also be redesigned. Um, like, who else but God can stop me from continuing this shift, right? Like, it's how I did it in the first place. Um, so anyway, I need a sip of water, but before I leave, I want to leave you with some um, like practicalities for your own home, okay? Because honestly, if I heard a story like this, even like 3 years ago, I would have been annoyed because, like, I would have been like, how can I do that too? So this week, don't try to be a perfect mother. Don't try to be a perfect father. Um, just ask ask a few questions. Ask many questions, but start with what gets repeated in our home, right? What gets rewarded? What gets ignored? How do we handle mistakes? What happens when someone apologizes to someone else? Do they get forgiven? Do they see um, my rather? Do they see my boundaries with respect, or are they taking them as a personal attack? Right? Do they witness me helping others without keeping score? Or am I usually like, oh, see what I did for you here and see what I did for you there? And these are questions for self awareness, okay? Not for self shame. Because, like, I want you to look for those glimmers of the moment that my son had with Penelope when he asked, how many, right? Instead of him flipping out or being like no, or listing the excuses, um he just wanted to make her life easier. And so just look for those moments in your own home. Look for someone making another person's day a little easier, right? And and see how often that happens, see how easily that happens. Because I used to think that healing was like huge and dramatic, because a lot of our trauma and our damage can come in a dramatic big way, right? But healing needs slowness, right? And like, it looks like a brother making eggs, it looks like a sister sharing them, um like a son saying thank you for a ride, right? Those are my pieces of evidence. And then, oh my god, my daughter brought iced tea to the room as well after she walked away after she set the bowl down, and she came with some iced tea. And so my point is that, like, healing isn't always, it's not loud, and it's not like performative, and like, excuse me, a lot of the time it whispers, because you need to be present to be aware of what's happening, right? Like, if you're moving too fast, too abrasively, you miss these little moments that are happening all the time, perhaps. um and if we're paying attention, like, all those tiny moments are telling us that the culture is shifting. it's it's all evidence.